Ukraine says it's ramping up the homegrown production of drones as it struggles to cope with the demand for the technology on the front line.
As both Moscow and Kiev exchange drone attacks, Ukraine has taken a step forward in developing drones.
The air above the battlefield in eastern Ukraine is swarming with more and more drones with every month. Along the ground, these beasts here, these unmanned ground vehicles, are playing a more and more important role.
Russia entered 2024 with a simple calculation. Drones were a defensive weapon, small, fragile, short range, useful for watching, useful for warning, but not for pushing forward, not for hunting armor across open ground, not for breaking a fortified line. That calculation cost them 31 tanks in a single week in Donetsk Oblast, because Ukraine didn't read the manual. While Russian generals planned a grinding offensive that would overwhelm Ukrainian defenses through sheer mass, thousands of tanks, thousands of troops, industrial-scale artillery, Ukrainian engineers in a nondescript warehouse were building something that had never existed before. A ground-based, unmanned, armored carrier that could move autonomously toward Russian positions, release a swarm of FPV drones mid-advance, and disappear before a single Russian soldier could respond. They called it the Bober. It weighs 4 tons, it costs a fraction of the tanks it destroys, and Russia has no answer for it. To understand why the Bober is so dangerous, you need to understand what Russia expected. When full-scale war began in February 2022, both sides understood drone technology. Russia had Orlan-10 reconnaissance drones, Ukraine had Turkish Bayraktar TB2s. Both sides quickly adopted commercial quadcopters for artillery spotting. The logic was straightforward. Drones are slow, drones are fragile, drones are loud. You use them to see the battlefield, not to control it. Russia's military planners built their 2024 to 2025 offensive doctrine around that assumption. Mass armor, concentrated infantry, and suppression fire would overwhelm drone-equipped defenders. The math seemed to work. A T-72 costs approximately $2 million. An FPV drone, a first-person view attack drone, costs between $400 and $800. But one FPV drone, striking from above into the thin top armor of a tank, rarely guaranteed a kill. Russia accepted the exchange rate. They had the tanks, Ukraine had the drones. Russia would win by volume. That logic collapsed in Avdiivka. In February 2024, after months of brutal fighting, Russian forces captured Avdiivka. But the cost shocked even Russian military bloggers. Conservative estimates from open-source intelligence analysts at Oryx put Russian armored vehicle losses during that campaign at over 400 vehicles, including more than 80 confirmed tank kills. Ukrainian FPV teams, operating in coordinated swarms of 4 to 6 drones per target, achieved kill rates that upended every prior calculation. The numbers revealed something Russia hadn't modeled. FPV drones weren't operating as solo weapons. They were hunting in packs. And Ukraine was learning to coordinate those packs with ground movement in ways that had never been attempted before. The Bober was the next logical step, and Russia never saw it coming. Let's be precise about what Ukraine built, because the details matter. The Bober, Ukrainian for beaver, is an unmanned ground vehicle, or UGV, built on a modified platform derived in part from captured Russian equipment and commercially available tracked chassis components. Ukraine's defense technology ecosystem, which by 2024 included over 200 registered defense tech companies operating under the United 24 procurement framework, developed the Bober through a public-private collaboration that bypassed traditional military procurement timelines entirely. Here are the core specifications based on verified open-source reporting from Defense Express, Ukraine's primary defense industry publication, and corroborated by footage released by Ukrainian military units on the Zaporizhia and Donetsk fronts. Weight: approximately 3.8 to 4.2 tons depending on payload configuration. Speed, up to 25 kilometers per hour on prepared surfaces, 12 to 15 kilometers per hour across rough terrain. Range, operational radius of 10 to 15 kilometers, depending on communication relay infrastructure. Payload, the Bober carries a launch rack holding between 8 and 12 FPV drones in sealed protective containers. The drones deploy on operator command or, in newer configurations, on pre-programmed autonomous trigger conditions. Armor, sufficient to survive small arms fire and artillery fragmentation. Not designed to fight, designed to deliver and survive long enough to matter. That last point is critical. The Bober is not a weapon, it is a weapons delivery system. Its entire purpose is to bring the drone swarm close enough to the target to guarantee hits before Russian electronic warfare can jam the signal. This is the core innovation. This is what Russia never modeled. Russia's electronic warfare capability is real. This is not propaganda. By 2023, Russian EW systems, including the Krasuka 4, the Borisogledsk 2, and numerous tactical level jammers, had significantly degraded Ukraine's FPV drone effectiveness at range. The jamming works by disrupting the radio frequency link between the drone operator and the drone. Standard FPV drones operate on 5.8 gigahertz frequencies. Russian jammers flood those frequencies with noise. The drone loses signal, it crashes, or it returns to its last known position, useless. Ukrainian drone operators adapted. They shifted frequencies. They used frequency hopping software. They developed fiber optic tethered drones that physically cannot be jammed because the signal travels through a cable, not through the air. But all of these solutions shared a limitation. The operator still needed to be within a few kilometers of the target. And being within a few kilometers of Russian positions meant being within range of Russian artillery, Russian snipers, and Russian counter-drone units that had become alarmingly effective at locating and eliminating Ukrainian drone teams. Russia expected drones to pin Ukrainian defenders in place. Instead, Ukrainian drones are now leading offensive action. This is the reversal that matters strategically. In the Robotyne salient in Zaporizhzhia Oblast, Ukrainian forces executed a series of probing advances in late 2024 using a combined arms formation that had never been documented before. The sequence worked like this. First, reconnaissance drones, typically commercial DJI Mavic 3 units modified for military use, mapped Russian positions, identifying tank concentrations, infantry strongpoints, and the locations of Russian anti-tank teams. Second, the Bober was tasked and dispatched along a pre-calculated route that minimized exposure to known Russian observation points. No Ukrainian soldier advanced with it. Third, at the release point, the swarm launched. 8 to 12 FPV drones, each pre-assigned a target by the operator team 10 kilometers back, struck simultaneously within a window of approximately 90 seconds. The objective? Destroy or suppress every armored vehicle in the target grid before Russian infantry could react. Fourth, and this is the element Russia completely failed to anticipate, Ukrainian infantry advanced immediately behind the drone strike, within 3 to 5 minutes, before Russian forces could reorganize. The drone strike was not the attack. The drone strike was the artillery preparation for the attack. Ukraine had essentially created a precision, zero-risk substitute for a 20-minute artillery barrage, but compressed into 90 seconds and delivered without a single Ukrainian soldier exposed. The Institute for the Study of War documented multiple instances of this tactic in their daily battlefield updates between October 2024 and February 2025, noting that Russian defensive lines that had held for months began collapsing in sectors where Ukrainian UGV drone combination tactics were employed. Russia expected drones to slow Ukraine down. Ukraine used drones to speed the advance up. Let's run the numbers. Because the economics of this system are as devastating as the tactics, A Russian T-80 BVM, one of Russia's most capable active service tanks, costs approximately $4.5 million at current production costs, accounting for wartime material price increases and the degraded supply chain Russia is operating under following Western sanctions. A Bober UGV costs approximately $150,000 to $200,000 in verified Ukrainian procurement reporting. This includes the chassis, the sensor suite, the communication systems, and the autonomous navigation package. A full swarm load, 10 FPV drones at $600 each, adds $6,000. Total system cost per deployment, approximately $156,000 to $206,000. If one deployment destroys one T-80 BVM, Ukraine spends $206,000 to eliminate a $4,500,000 asset. That is a 21-to-1 cost exchange ratio in Ukraine's favor. But the Bober doesn't deploy once. Ukrainian engineers designed it for multiple sorties. Field reporting suggests each unit completes between 6 and 12 deployments before requiring maintenance or replacement. The drone racks are reloadable. The chassis is recoverable. Only the FPV drones are consumed. Across 10 deployments, assuming a conservative kill rate of one armored vehicle per deployment, the Bober eliminates $45 million worth of Russian armor at a total cost of approximately $260,000. That is a 173-to-1 cost exchange ratio. Russia identified the Bober threat. To their credit, they moved quickly to develop countermeasures. None have succeeded at scale. Response 1. Anti-drone netting on tanks. Russian forces began welding improvised metal cage armor, nicknamed cope cages by Western observers, onto their tanks starting in 2022. The cages were designed to prematurely detonate shaped charge warheads before they penetrated the main armor. Against top attack FPV drones striking at steep angles, the cages provide minimal protection. Ukrainian drone operators adapted by targeting the rear deck, the engine compartment, and the tracks, none of which are effectively protected by overhead caging. Response 2. Dedicated counter-UGV units. Russian forces established small teams equipped with anti-drone rifles and signal jammers specifically tasked with intercepting Ukrainian UGVs before they reach their release points. The problem? The Bober's autonomous navigation means it doesn't require continuous radio contact to advance. Jamming the control signal doesn't stop it. It continues on its pre-programmed route. To physically stop it, Russian forces must expose personnel, exactly what the Bober was designed to prevent. Response 3. Artillery pre-registration. Russian artillery teams began pre-registering fire on likely UGV approach corridors, essentially creating kill zones through which any ground vehicle would have to pass. Ukraine countered by varying approach routes using the Bober's terrain mapping software and by deploying multiple UGVs simultaneously along different axes, forcing Russian artillery to choose which threat to engage and leaving others to reach their release points. Response 4. Helicopter interdiction. In at least 3 documented incidents in Donetsk Oblast, Russian Ka-52 attack helicopters were tasked to intercept Ukrainian UGVs detected by Russian reconnaissance. This response is expensive, slow, and creates new vulnerabilities. Ka-52s operating at low altitude in contested airspace face significant risk from Ukrainian manpads teams that now operate in close coordination with UGV units precisely to exploit this response. Every Russian countermeasure creates a new vulnerability. Ukraine exploits each one. The tactical cycle is accelerating in Ukraine's favor. The Bober is not the endpoint, it is the proof of concept. Ukrainian defense planners speaking to Defense Express and the Kyiv Independent under condition of anonymity due to operational security confirmed in late 2025 that the UGV program has expanded into at least 3 next-generation platforms that go beyond the Bober's current capabilities. The first is a heavier variant, currently referred to in Ukrainian defense circles as the Volk, or Wolf, designed to carry not just FPV drone swarms, but also 80mm unguided rocket pods and a remote-controlled 12.7mm heavy machine gun. The Volk transforms the UGV from a drone carrier into a direct fire platform capable of independent suppression missions. Field trials were reported in Zaporizhzhia Oblast in December 2025. The second development is a coordinated multi-UGV swarm system. Rather than deploying one Bober at a time, Ukrainian engineers are developing command software that allows a single operator team to control up to 4 UGVs simultaneously, advancing along separate axes toward the same target grid. The combined payload, up to 48 FPV drones launched within the same 90-second window. No Russian defensive position has ever been designed to absorb 48 simultaneous precision strikes. Here's what makes this story larger than the Ukraine war. NATO's ground combat doctrine, the foundation on which the alliance's ability to defend Europe rests, was built around a specific assumption: that the tank, supported by infantry and protected by air cover, remains the decisive weapon of land warfare. That assumption is collapsing. In November 2025, Allied Command Transformation published an interim assessment, partially declassified and reported by Jane's Defense Weekly, acknowledging that UGV drone combination tactics employed by Ukraine represent a fundamental challenge to current NATO combined arms doctrine that requires urgent review at the alliance level. The core problem is this: NATO's tank fleets, the Leopard 2s, the Challengers, the M1 Abrams, are extraordinary machines. The Leopard 2A7 costs approximately $15 million. The M1A2 SEPV3 costs approximately $10 million. These vehicles are built to survive direct fire from other tanks, artillery, and anti-tank missiles. They were not designed around the threat of 48 simultaneous FPV drone strikes delivered from an unmanned ground vehicle 10 kilometers behind the forward line. The counter-argument from NATO planners is that the alliance's air superiority would prevent UGV operations in a NATO-Russia conflict. Russia cannot operate Ka-52s freely in Ukrainian airspace. NATO controls its airspace. A UGV threat that works in Ukraine might not work against NATO because NATO would destroy it from the air before it reached its release point. Here is the summary of what just happened. Russia built a war around mass, around industrial production, around the tank as the decisive weapon of land warfare, around the assumption that drone technology favors the defender. Ukraine, with a fraction of Russia's budget, with a civilian defense industry that didn't exist 3 years ago, with engineers working in warehouses instead of state arms factories, Ukraine built something that inverts every one of those assumptions. The Bober is not just a vehicle. It is proof that the next era of land warfare belongs not to the nation with the most tanks, but to the nation with the most creative engineers. Russia arrived in Ukraine expecting to fight the last war. Ukraine is fighting the next one. And in Donbas right now, on contested ground that has seen 3 years of some of the most brutal fighting in European history, something is hunting Russian armor that Russian doctrine never prepared for, that Russian electronic warfare cannot reliably stop, and that Russian industry cannot match at the exchange rates Ukraine is imposing. It weighs 4 tons, it costs $200,000, and Russia has no answer. What happens when Ukraine deploys not dozens of these, but hundreds? Drop your assessment in the comments. I want to know what you think the next move is. If this kind of deep tactical analysis is what you're looking for, the story behind the story, before it becomes mainstream news, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This war is moving faster than the headlines. Don't fall behind.